Story 1. I told my sister-in-law that she deserved what happened to her. My wife and I have been married for 5 years and we have a 4-year-old son. My wife is a lawyer and I am an accountant. This year my son started kindergarten, which in our country is optional from the age of 3 and mandatory at the age of 5. So we considered that at 4 years old he could start his classes so that he learns to socialize. So my wife and I take turns picking up the child from kindergarten and taking him home. On the days that neither she nor I can't take him home, my father does it for us. And when he can't, my sister-in-law does it. But the problem is that I don't trust in her to take care of my son. There is why, when my wife and I started dating, she told me that her sister is a little special because during her adolescence she was abused by her first boyfriend, and that thanks to that she tends to become a little aggressive when she hears screams or too strong noises. It doesn't help that she doesn't seek psychological help because she believes that psychologists are a scam, a fairly common belief in my country. Unfortunately, due to her traumas and her past experience, it bothers me that my sister-in-law is sometimes left alone with my son. I'm not saying that she is going to intentionally do something bad to him, but if she is very sensitive to noises, I am worried that one day she reacts badly to the child's cries and a tragedy happens. This is a concern that I have told my wife before and that she understands, which is why her sister is always the last option to pick up our son. Anyway, she has always told me that her sister is a good person and that she would never hurt our kid. Everything was going well until yesterday. I got home late because it was tax filing time at my company and I see my wife arguing with her sister in a low voice but in a quite aggressive tone. I went to look for my child, but my wife stopped me. She told me that he is fine, that he is sleeping. I told her that I will still go and greet him, but she insisted. Her sister said a little afraid that she better leave now. I started to get suspicious, so I didn't listen my wife and I went to see my child directly. When I saw him, he was in his room crying and with a small wound on his cheek. From that moment on, everything went downhill. I ran out to follow my sister-in-law knowing that she went to pick up the child that day. She saw me and got scared. My wife stood between the two of us and said that nothing happened, only that the child fell and that he got hurt. I asked her sister to tell the truth and after putting enough pressure on her she started crying and said that my son had an accident. But when he started crying she slapped him to keep him quiet because it was making her nervous. She said she did not measure her strength and that she did not know that she would hurt the child. I should say that she didn't apologize at any time. That only made me angrier, so I yelled at her in the middle of the street, resisting the urge to attack her. In the middle of my anger I told her I'm glad that your ex treated you the way you deserved. I don't even know how that were the first words that went out of my mouth. After calming down I returned to the house and my wife came back some time later angry with me for what I said, that this was supposed to be a secret, that her sister didn't know that I knew, that now her sister is angry with her for going around saying that she was abused in her first relationship. I asked her how she could be angry with me and not with her sister for attacking our son. She told me that she was angry with her, but that I crossed the line by insulting her in the middle of the street. She also told me that it is normal for adults to hit to the children to shut up, that their mother used to do it often, but what I did was very low. Currently she and I are sleeping in separate rooms. I sleep with the child and she in our room. She tells me that I should at least apologize to her sister and I told her that I am not going to apologize until my son is cured, and her sister better hope the boy doesn't get a scar from this. I'm not saying that physical punishment shouldn't be used with children, only in extreme cases like my parents did with me, but hitting a child just for crying because he had an accident seems too exaggerated to me. Now, I'm a little calmer and maybe I did go a little overboard, but I'm not willing to apologize until my son receives an apology first. Or should I take the first step and apologize to my sister-in-law first? Story 2. I was scammed out of money on Facebook. I did not take it lying down. A scammer on Facebook conned me out of my money. He picked the wrong one. I posted in a Facebook group of a mechanic. Dim-witted criminal wrote me to offer his services. We chatted through Messenger all day and made a deal. He sent me an invoice and I agreed to cash app him a deposit mistake. I know. He was to come to my house the next day to do the work. In the morning, he said the parts cost more than he estimated, so could I pay for the job in full so he could pay for them. With a lot of reservation, I sent him the rest of the money, $415 total. After telling me he was on his way, he ghosted me and blocked my number. I immediately reported him to the police, who predictably said I was shit out of luck. so I knew I was going to have to handle the matter myself. I googled dim-witted criminal and saw that he had been defrauding people for some time, promising services and vanishing once he was paid. How had he been getting away with this? I wondered. I checked court records and found out that he had a lengthy arrest history, so I made contact with other victims of his scams. One of them told me he sent money to the Cash App address of dim-witted criminal's girlfriend. A light bulb went off. I remembered from the court records that someone took out a protective order against him last month. I thought, hey, that might have been girlfriend, and she may be pissed too. Lucky for me, her Cash App tag was her full name, and I easily found her on Facebook. I connected with girlfriend, and as I suspected she would, she sang like a goddamn bird. Dim-witted criminal had stolen her car, and she was about to haul him into court. Then she dropped the bomb. He was currently on parole. I said, you got a name for his patrol officer, a number. Girlfriend gave me everything. The parole officer was very interested in what I had to say. I sent him a download of my conversations with dim-witted criminal, and he promised he would work very hard to recover my money and stop his scamming ways. That was good, but not quite enough. I continued digging. A criminal records search in a nearby state yielded the final bit of information I needed, the name of the relative who had sent money to the court on dim-witted criminal's behalf. I said, I wonder if their relative can help me. Well, it was Facebook for the win again. I found their relative there and told him my story and that I was filing criminal charges. He was appalled and embarrassed by what dim-witted criminal had been doing, and offered to pay me back himself if I dropped everything. I finally agreed, and minutes later I had my money. Their relative promised that dim-witted criminal's scamming days were over. Note: if you're going to try to con people out of their money, don't be on parole. Using your real name, email address, and phone number, that's all someone like me needs. Story 3. I am ostracized by the entire school because I tried to out my rapist boyfriend. I'm graduated now, going on 6 years since my first boyfriend raped me, physically abused me to the point of hiding under his bed out of fear, and almost stabbed me once too. He held me down and read over 30 pages of the Bible to me because I wanted to read about pagan history. Said ex got me pregnant and I thankfully miscarried around the 8 weeks mark. I had a best friend. We'll call her Anna. I told Anna while it was happening what was going on and she told me to call the police. I talked to our school counselor about it and then said friend ran around telling everyone. I told the cops said my BF raped me and that I was lying. I don't know why she did that. I loved and trusted her so much, and she did that. Well, now even worse stuff has happened, and when I tried to speak up, another best friend said I was lying yet again. It plagues me. The recordings of him talking about touching my unconscious and asleep body. I'll never get him in prison. Story 4. Creepy guy from WhatsApp, around 4 to 5 years ago. I was chilling in my house with my phone when I saw that a friend of mine was playing a sort of game on her WhatsApp stories. If we wanted to participate, we had to send her a picture. She would then post it on her stories. And if someone wanted anyone's phone number, she must give it to them. Being naive as I was, I saw the game as an opportunity to make virtual friends. I was unaware of the obvious purpose of the game until some years later now, and so I sent my friend a random picture of myself. My picture was in her stories for almost a whole day, but no one texted me. After the picture disappeared, I just thought oh well and went on with whatever I was doing. I didn't know what was coming. The next day, while I was waiting for my teacher to come into the classroom, I checked my phone and the first thing I saw was a hello from an unknown number from my country. I found that weird until I remembered my friend's game. That was the only possible way someone could have my number, and the guy who texted me confirmed it. And so I texted him back. I didn't even finish to say hello when he started asking me very personal stuff like where did I lived and studied. This was hella creepy for me, so I answered his questions with lies. However, this didn't help me because after I told him where I supposedly lived, he said, oh, it's close for me, so we can meet. Excuse me, WTF, why would I want to meet you? Still, I didn't want to be rude and tell him that, so I lied again saying that we couldn't meet as I recently had a big argument with my parents, which ended with me being forbidden to go out for a month. He understood and didn't insist with that. After I finished my classes and homework, I decided to give him a chance to at least be friends. Even though he creeped me out from the very beginning of our chats, I wish I didn't. It just made me even more uncomfortable. I don't remember at all what things we talked about, but what I do remember was him being over familiar and weird as he was, calling me precious, my queen, and stuff like that almost all of the time. So I had to tell him to stop as he made me uncomfortable. Besides, not even my boyfriend from then called me like that, but some rondo thought he could, OFC not. At one point he asked me if I could send him a picture, not a nude, if that was what you were thinking, just a normal one, and he then resent the picture to me with a heart-eyed emoji. After a while I said goodbye because I was supposedly going to sleep. He went offline and I thought, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this guy. He texted me the next days but I ignored him, deleting the chats every time he did, hoping he would get tired of not getting answer. However, he didn't seem to get the clue and kept on trying to approach me. This kept going on until one day, instead of hello, he texted, "Are you mad at me?" I was like, bro, be for real, and blocked him. No idea why I didn't do that in the first place, but yeah. Some time passed, and I unblocked him as I thought that by then he wouldn't even remember me. Wrong. After that, he didn't lose time in trying to chat with me again, but I blocked him right after, and for a longer time, I believed that would be the end of it, but as you can guess, I was wrong. One day, I found a message from his number on my SMS. On SMS. Who uses SMS nowadays aside from banks, phone companies and scammers? But most importantly, how desperate you must be to contact someone who made it already clear doesn't want anything to do with you via SMS, of course. I blocked his number there too and also reported it as spam. Days later, I got some missed calls from his number, which I blocked right after, and here is when things get even weirder. I don't want to be so radical to attribute what I'm going to say to that guy, but it just can't be a mere coincidence the fact that all of this happened right after I cut all the ways he had to contact me. For several weeks, I got a lot of missed calls every single day at different hours from unknown numbers from my country. Most of the times I got them I was busy and therefore didn't answer, but one day, being already irritated as hell from the calls, I picked up and cursed to whoever called me. I didn't spend a lot of time on that call, but I remember hearing background noise from like a street and a young man trying to say hello. And there I was blocking and reporting number after number whenever I saw a missed call. Until one day, I didn't got any calls anymore. Story 5. My school had a partial power outage and it ended with people passing out. This happened on a Tuesday. We were emailed before going to school that there was a partial power outage, but a lot of people didn't see it. They had split people by grade level. They had the freshmen go to the gym, the sophomores go to the cafeteria, and had the juniors and seniors go to the auditorium. They just had us sitting in there and were playing music on a speaker, but they turned it off because people were up and dancing. Only one teacher was upset about people dancing, about an hour passes of us just in there, until principal walks on the stage and tells us that the only way they can fix the power outage is by turning all the power out. So in order for us to not be sitting in the dark, we would be moved. He told us that the freshmen would be moved out of the gym to classrooms as they were being very rowdy and cutting a fool, while the sophomores were moved to the gym. US juniors and seniors were moved to the track. It was hot. I mean hot as hell. But people were having fun. People were playing football and frisbee. But we were out there for so long, and at my school we have like the least amount of trees around the school. The only way someone would have gotten actual shade from a tree is going into the wooded area that is close by. People were sweating. Someone had taken off their wig and people were dehydrated. They brought school buses in like an hour and a half after we had been out there. People with cars were leaving and taking their friends with them. I had actually called my mom to ask her to pick me up. There were no water fountains except in a certain building, but it was locked. My mom had finally came and got me, and a fire truck was in the front of the school along with an ambulance. There was also a woman yelling at them because she couldn't get her car out, and her son was trying to get her back in the car. But I heard them say where the patients are and stuff like that. When I got home, my partner had texted, telling me that one of their friends that had stayed told them that some people had ended up having heat strokes and passing out. The thing is the fact that the principal wanted to have school for us canceled that day, but the school district denied his request. But all the people are okay, they gave us an update, instead of leaving us in the dark. If you are still watching right now, you are a real one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, and have an amazing day.